be having a really great camp. What have you seen from him, and what do you believe he's going to be able to do for this offense at that position?
Shoot, I'm excited about Kean. I think everybody is. He's had a great first week of camp. He's playing the ball great. He's running great. And he's a really hard worker. And so that's been something that's shown up consistently throughout the offseason, that he's a kid that he's always trying to get extra film, trying to get extra catches. And I think so far it's paying off. And I'm just excited to see what he can do, just like you are.
You've got a lot of moving parts on your offensive line, but what updates can you give us on Leif Magnus and Michael Wooten appeared to be the kid that went down late in the practice on Monday. And are you holding some of your starters, veteran starters, out like maybe a Josh, your center Josh, to give other guys reps?
Yeah, I kind of said it before. I don't really talk about medical issues, and so when those things exist, we just go with what we got. And so that's just how we let it play out. And the good thing is that when you have those situations, it gives other people a chance to get reps and hopefully accelerate their development.
Justin and Troy, what have you seen from Owen Goss so far in camp, and what's kind of his story and how he got to Arizona?
I think he has a great story. We were really excited, that he was interested in joining us. He's obviously a really good player at Colgate. I think, it's hard to see because we haven't done a bunch of live stuff, but he's definitely a physical football player. And, he's joining a really talented secondary, which I think is awesome because those guys are all kind of challenging each other and pushing each other. And he's a super hard worker, and everybody likes being around him. He's a great personality. Like, you guys get a chance to talk to him at some time, but everybody on the team likes Owen Goss, and so he's been a great addition so far.
Ryan and Michael, kind of going back to the offensive line, Rhino has kind of progressed throughout spring and at this point in training camp. Can you just talk about his development and where he started with you guys and where he is today?
Well, I think, he's a redshirt freshman. He's a work in progress, and I think we're excited about the path that he's on. He's got a lot of work to do still. He's still learning. He's still getting used to, kind of what we're doing offensively and that part of it. But we're encouraged by him. I think, he's another kid with just great energy and loves to play. And obviously he's got that great big body, which I think is going to be fun to watch him kind of grow and mature. And, like all young players, he's some good days and some rough days, but he's learning and he's growing. And the good part is he's getting a lot of meaningful reps against a good defensive front, and that's giving him a chance to develop.
And then on the offensive line, that kind of backup center role, we've seen Shenko go out there with the second unit. What have you liked that he's done, and where do you want to see improvements in terms of?
With you mean Issei?
Shenko? Playing
Yeah,
center.
Issei.
Yeah.
I think we're still trying to figure out who that's going to be. Obviously, Grayson is there also, and he's been doing a good job. And so I think that this early in camp, we're just trying to get a lot of people reps and guys a chance to play. And I think the deeper you get into camp, then you have to start making some decisions about who runs out there with the first team or whatever. But the good thing about Issei is that he definitely has a lot of flexibility, and I think that's encouraging because he can play any of those interior spots, and he's kind of been filling it at center some, and he's done a good job so far.
Michael and then Aaron.
In an ideal world, would you like to have more 300-pound plus defensive tackles than you do?
That's a good question. I've been a part of teams with successful big bodies and not so small bodies or not so big bodies there, so I would say, it just depends on how well they can play those interior gaps and can they get in the backfield and create havoc, TFLs and get after the quarterback. It's sometimes those guys are, sometimes those smaller guys are a handful in there because they have better leverage than those big, long bodies. And so, I would say that's more about production.
Aaron and then Matt.
Talking about travel a little bit, you guys have to take a road trip down to UCF this year. It's a long flight, there's a time change, and you made similar trips to this, going from San Jose to Hawaii. How do you keep your players fresh and ready on those longer road trips?
Every one of those is different. I think we'll try and go a day early and just kind of get them used to it. Get them settled in with the time change a little bit. But at the end of the day, whenever we make those long trips, I'm trying to not focus on that. I think that's one of those things, at least my experience, at San Jose, that was one of like the traps of Hawaii, was that like you were going to this nice place and everyone goes there on vacation and you get off the plane and it's warm and everyone's like, so that part of it I think is more about, as a football team, are we going to allow that to be an excuse or not? And I think that's a choice you have to make as you prepare for those trips.
Brent, there had to be some, cautious excitement for tonight's practice, getting guys live to the ground, tackling in full pads, under the lights situation like you guys will see in 3 weeks in the home opener. What did you hope to see in tonight's practice, and how did tonight's practice fulfill your expectations?
I thought it was great. I think it's definitely, having not played in these lights here for a while, I think that was good to see. I think they're bright. And so, they really are. And so I saw some of our receivers struggling with that. And so we're going to have to do a good job of getting out here some, throughout the rest of training camp. And,
Adapt to the physicality well.
I hope so. I'll watch the tape. But, I think there was some good stuff and some bad stuff on that tape. I think there's some guys at the offense, some things that the offensive coaches are going to be excited about, and some things that the defensive coaches are going to be excited about, and then I think there's going to be some stuff that they are not happy about. So it's just kind of a normal football practice.
Before you had mentioned decisions that you'll have to make at some point. At what point in camp do you think you need to start making those decisions? Is that maybe another week?
I would say it's situation by situation. Some of those things are more clearly defined than others, or like every one of those battles is kind of at its own pace. And so I don't really have a hard line for those decisions. But it'll definitely, some of those reps will start to taper, right? And those will be conversations that we have with the players as we go. Like that's the reality of football, is that we have to get the what we think is the best group out there to play the best football we can. And so those people need reps, and they need the most, practice opportunities we can provide. So normally the first couple weeks of training camp, everybody's getting some opportunity because you want to give everybody a chance, but over the course of those, 2 weeks, you start to have a lot of film, a lot of reps, a lot of stuff to evaluate, and you start making some determinations, and sometimes it's daily. Sometimes it's like this guy moves up, and the next day you move him down, you move somebody else up. You're just trying to create a little bit of pressure there, and so that those, kind of battles, that they have the necessary intensity, that you can kind of try and elevate both people involved.
Jason and Justin, kind of on that same note a little bit, what do you make of the quarterback competition behind Noah, and kind of the way the reps have been, and maybe who's kind of standing out there?
I think Cole's done a really nice job. I think it's been cool to see. I think that started in spring, and it's continued till now. I think, it's definitely ongoing. Like to me, there's nothing clear at that spot yet. That second spot, they've all done some good things at different times, and I think, probably in the next. They're off tomorrow. Probably in the next 3 days, we'll start to make some determinations about how those reps with the twos are going to change.
And then Bobby Wade kind of talked about it the other day. How did you come about finding Jeremiah Patterson, and has he exceeded expectations so far in camp? Or
Jeremiah's an awesome young man. We knew a lot about him because he came from College of San Mateo, and he's a Bay Area kid, and so we had him in camp at San Jose when he was in high school, and watched him play, tear it up at College of San Mateo. And so we've had a great history, or a great relationship with the coaches there, and the players that we've had from there have been good players for us in the past. And so when coming out of spring, we were looking to add somebody that we thought could be effective. And, I think so far we're really excited about Jeremiah.
Justin and David. Going off that, how would you compare College of San Mateo to maybe some other junior college programs? It seems like that's kind of been like a feeder school for a lot of programs. Year before last, they won the national championship, and last year they played for the state championship. I think they played for the state championship in California maybe 4 of the last 5 years. And so, I have a pretty high opinion of the junior college football in California. And I think for us, because of our location, because there's no junior college football in Arizona, our proximity to the state of California. I think there's 78 junior colleges in California, and there's a lot of good players there. So that's going to be a place that we continue to look for good players. And, just because the coaching staff at College of San Mateo, Tim Tolick, the head coach, does a fantastic job, and I've known him for probably 30-something years. Sometimes those people, you trust people's opinion, you trust their evaluation of players also, right? Just like when the NFL scouts come here and they ask me about whoever, Jonas Avenea, right? Like, it's the same thing. I call a junior college coach or a high school coach and ask about a player. Some people you trust more than others, right? They just have a better track record with you.
And then when do you begin preparation for New Mexico?
Probably like 10 days out.
Last question to David.
Brent, we don't see a lot of traditional fullback sets on offense at the college level much anymore. What's your philosophy there on how much you want to utilize?
Those guys are hard to find. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of people lining up for that job description. I've played with them before, and I haven't. Lots of times we end up using a tight end for that kind of work. Sometimes we've even used an offensive lineman, a linebacker, or a defensive lineman. It just really depends on, a year ago when we played some of that stuff, we used a linebacker, Charlie Rogers at San Jose. Caught a touchdown pass. It was amazing. Yeah, it's great. So, so it's just like that part of it is, I don't know how much of that we'll do, but I think I think it's valuable if you have it.
All right, that's your time.
Thanks, y'all. See you guys.